Mr. Darren Tang, the Director General of WIPO, that's the World Intellectual Property Organization, joins us here in the studio. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Kayla. Yeah, thank you for having me.
We made a joke before we started where this is the most important organization in the United Nations that you don't know about.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
But it's a very important organization. Considering where we are right now, not just in Nigeria, but around the world, the creative space is booming.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I don't know how many people are thinking about 9-to-5 jobs anymore. Everyone wants to be in a creative space and bring
what's... You want to be the next Burna Boy.
Yes, everyone wants to be the next Burna Boy. But apart from music, there's also art and culture and all of that going on right now. The question about protecting intellectual property has become so important in today's generation. So talk to us a bit about what your organization does and how you're gearing up for this very creative world we're living in right now.
Thank you so much, Kayla, and thank you for having me on the Sunrise Daily. It's an honor and pleasure to be here. My first visit to Nigeria.
Oh, welcome.
I don't want to start a war of your neighboring countries, but I'm enjoying your jollof rice a lot, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We agree. Ours is better. It's always been.
So I think, as you said, the creative energies of the people around the world, in Africa, young people, has really been a source of inspiration. You think about in Nigeria, you mentioned Afrobeats, Burna Boy, Wizkid, Davido, but not just that. You're talking about Nigerian designers, Vicky James. You're talking about films, producers like Funke Akindele. Everybody loves Jennifer, and behind the scenes, right? So I think Nigerian culture and content is really exploding on the scene. And so I think what WIPO is trying to do as one of the agencies, and we're based in Geneva, is to not just look at IP as a very technical legal matter. That's how it's been seen traditionally, but really as a way for artists and creators and also innovators, by the way, because Nigeria is a startup hub of Africa. You've got 3,000 startups. You've got 7 unicorns. You've got great companies, a lot of innovative potential. So both on the creative side as well as the innovation side, WIPO's job is to support them to be able to take the ideas to the market. So going beyond law is the foundation, but IP is a source of jobs, as a catalyst for economic empowerment, as a way to support your creative economy, as a way not just to protect, but also to commercialize IP. So my visit here is really to bring that new vision of IP, which is very aligned with what the Nigerian people want, but what the government wants as well, the new IP strategy. So very, very exciting.
I mean, there's a conversation that started around the AMVCAs, the African Magic Movie Awards.
Yes.
And the fashion. And we started seeing comparisons between what we're wearing at the AMVCAs and what we're wearing at the Met Gala.
Yes.
But we also saw conversations around how many Nigerians are producing globally recognized work, yet they're not fully benefiting financially from it. What do you think is the missing link here?
I think there's a lot of innocence amongst creators in Africa and the global south.
A lot of innocence.
Innocence. They're very innocent in the way they create. They create a piece of music, a beautiful garment, a film. They put it out there, and then they forget that they need to earn a living from that. They forget they know how to monetize that. And IP becomes very important because you're not registering your product, you're not making sure that copyright is protecting your music, song, arts, or that trademarks is protecting your brand, or that design is protecting the way your sense of aesthetics. You're not going to be able to monetize it. So I think what we're trying to do first of all is to raise awareness. Tell people that, and I think Funke Akindele, who's one of your great film producers, he's been talking a lot about, to fellow Nigerians, right? Take care of your intellectual property. Don't just put stuff out there and then assume that the money falls into your lap. You have to work on the business of creativity, on the business of innovating, and IP is part of that. So what WIPO wants to do is to raise awareness, and we've got programs like CLIP, Creators Learn IP, a free online platform that WIPO has, written by musicians for musicians to understand copyright from a musician's perspective, not from a lawyer's perspective, so that they know how to navigate the copyright system and earn a living as a musician. So that's really the new type of what we want to bring to Nigeria.
I think another thing that happens with creatives here is that they want to be seen first.
They want to be seen,
They want to be out there. Let's put it out there.
Put it out there.
How do they balance that? Being that hunger to be put out there, and then the fact that what you put out there can be stolen, and someone else can benefit from what you. How do they create that balance?
They have to see their creative journey as a marathon. If it's not a 100-meter dash, it's not put it one thing out there and then after that you think about the next thing. You have to think long term. And that means that they need to make sure that whatever they put out there is protected, is monetized, and that will allow them to generate the income, right, to invest in the next creative endeavor that they want to have. So I think that's really, really important. And I think, in Nigeria, there are enough people who understand how to play this game. There are enough people, but I think we need to get the message out there to all 240 million Nigerians. There's just not enough awareness, not enough tools. So again, WIPO is here not just to talk about IP laws and regulations, but here to give programs and initiatives, right, to Nigerians at the grassroots. We are very committed to making IP work at the grassroots level. By programs like, for example, we have supported 600 small medium enterprises in Nigeria through a one-year program where we help them to understand IP and incorporate into the business strategy. It's very different from how typically a UN agency does things, which is more to give a seminar or workshop for a few days. But this is accompanying them for a long time, making them feel that IP is part of their life journey, and then helping them to sustain their creativity, their innovative potential.
Let's talk about the opportunities. Our creative industry, like you said, is growing very rapidly, especially in music, and we're also looking at film. I start to see people doing a lot of cartoons.
Yes, animation.
And things like that in Nigeria. Fashion, digital content.
Of course,
So what opportunities do you see for Nigerian creators in the global market?
I think the world is ready for them. We are living in a global culture where our children are listening to music from all over the world. Afrobeats, Latin American pop, K-pop. Think about it. It's no longer just dominated by certain countries. It's become a global culture. In this culture, people are ready for Nigerian and African music, song, fashion, arts, and all of that. So that's great opportunity. But I think again, if they take care of their intellectual property, they can become global players, right? And make sure that IP is protected in all the countries where they are famous. The other thing is that a lot of these art forms and creative forms, right, support one another, right? You think about this. You go to a film awards gala, you have the fashion designers showing off their latest clothes. And then you have the animators who do a short film about, about something funny about what happened of that. So actually a lot of these artistic endeavors, right, can support one another. So what WIPO is trying to support is that don't just look at these different creative endeavors by itself. When you have a movie, musicians get involved. The designers get involved. So can we, and then even the digital economy gets involved, because nowadays with movies, right, there's software in it, there's animation. Animation requires software. So can we make sure that we use the creativity of Nigerian artists to also support Nigeria's digital economy, your startup ecosystem? So it's about connecting it to an ecosystem. The ecosystem approach is really, really important. And that's why the new national IP strategy, right, which takes this approach, it's really important. And WIPO's commitment is to support the implementation of this national IP strategy.
I mean, we actually talked about that in our report, how it was created in 2025, the National Intellectual Property Policy and Strategy. That was created by the Bola Tinubu administration. In what other ways can governments and institutions and private sector even work together to create stronger support systems for creatives and innovators?
So you see, IP in the past was a very vertical thing, something that's only interesting to the experts. But IP has now become a horizontal catalyst. It's about education, it's about science and research, it's about agriculture even, it's about the startups, it's about your small, medium enterprises and all of this. The challenge now is to move as an ecosystem, connect all the dots, link up all the different government agencies. It's no longer just the IP office and the IP registries. It's also all the different ministries. But it's also a whole of country effort. It's not just whole of government. Because the government can regulate the IP and create the right environment. But in the end, it's your entrepreneurs that will take the IP to the market. So this is why this involves industry, involves your entrepreneurs, involves your financiers. So I think the national IP strategy is really about rallying the whole country, private sector, public sector, the researchers, the designers, the creators, right? So that we can work, they all can work hand in hand to push Nigeria's economy towards innovation and creative economy as engines, alongside, of course, agriculture, commodities, and all of that.
Adapting to AI.
Yes.
How do we get our creatives to adapt? Because it's everything now.
Yeah,
how do we get them to adapt to AI and incorporate it?
I used to play music professionally. I used to be a jazz pianist before my father told me to stop that, finish law school for goodness sake, and become a barrister. But music has never left my heart, So I remain very close to the community. I think AI is a tool. I don't think it should replace us as human beings. I don't think it's a god. I think AI is a tool, and therefore it's a tool we should make sure that it's used for good and not for evil. And for me, AI can help certain creators who are struggling with financing, right, to translate, for example, a script into a movie, to be able to have their physical expressions out there when they may not have the funding to engage a band. So it can be empowering for in certain cases. But let's not make AI replace the human creator, destroy the human creator, sideline the human creator. I think our kids let's therefore make sure that people know how to use it for good and not for evil.
I'm a little conflicted.
Yeah.
So I'm a purist when it comes to music. I like the
Yes.
original art forms.
Yeah.
But there are these things I see online right
Yeah.
now, and I don't know what that means for the actual creators.
Yeah.
Where they'll take a song, it's a jazz
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
They'll take
Yeah.
a Billie Holiday song or
Yeah,
something,
exactly, yeah.
and then they'll now put the AI
Yeah.
superimpose on it, and then it
Yeah.
creates a whole. How do you, as someone who used to play, how do you feel about that?
I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. I think these chimeras are not really interesting. But then again, I've heard some songs. Like there's a Nigerian musician called Malik Adekfua,
Okay.
who's using AI to create new musical expressions.
I don't know.
I don't know about that, but when we were growing up, our musicians, our generation, were using synthesizers and drum machines to experiment and see. So I think in a way, technology has always been a friend of musicians if they know how to use it well. So I think it's a brave new world.
Well, but it doesn't feel very friendly, does it? It changes everything about it.
Yeah.
And even in visuals, if you throw an AI app on some picture, it alters. It's not there yet. It's not there yet where it can keep the integrity of the originals.
Yeah.
For content creators out there who are dealing with originals and knowing that AI can be used to alter what they do. What kind of support can WIPO give them?
Well, this is a big controversy around the world. There's a lot of debate between the right balance between the technology sector and the creative sector. And even in Nigeria, if you're supporting the technology sector, they're going to have to be good at AI. But then you have to find the right balance between the creatives and the tech people. And I think what WIPO tries to do is trying to bring the world together to discuss these issues, because it's not just one country that can solve it. And certainly we don't want just a few countries to solve this issue. So we want to make sure that Nigeria has a voice, Africa has a voice, Asia has a voice, Latin America has a voice as we discuss these issues. And in the end, I think we need to find some equilibrium and balance to it. There are cases going up to the Supreme Court in some countries. I think that will help to resolve some issues. New business models will probably have to emerge. We're seeing some of the big music companies cut deals, licensing deals with the tech companies to make sure that musicians get paid for this. I think, though, that musicians and artists will always, especially the younger ones, will use technology to express themselves. So I think this is really a brave new world. WIPO really wants to make sure that we discuss this on the global stage, and that the voices are not just dominated by a few countries, but that we become a house where all 194 countries come and talk about these issues, and we set the global standards together as one WIPO family.
Does it worry you sometimes that maybe AI may take over original creativity?
I'm confident that human creativity remains undiminished. Because I've seen, if you think about it, in the history of the human species, we have encountered so many forms of revolutionary technologies. The TV, the radio, the computers, e-commerce. But each time, the human creativity remains undiminished. And I think the way we express ourselves might change, but the nature of human creativity will remain unchanged. And I feel that my job is to make sure that is preserved, because our job is really to support human innovators and human creators. And that's really WIPO's mission. We want to make sure that continues to be the place.
Well, I know you have to be somewhere, so I have to let you go right now.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Darren Tang, the Director General of the World Intellectual Property Organization. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're shifting gears to politics right after this break. Stay with us.